Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mark Moss Show. We're always talking about the decentralized revolution, talking about the way the world is changing, and I have a special guest for you today. I'm sitting down with my friend Gerald Celente. He's been on the program before. If you don't know who he is, he's been writing the Trends Journal for decades, forecasting the trends. He is on top of it. He's been right so many times, telling you what the trends are. He's so much fun, so much information. Let's just go ahead and just jump into the interview with Gerald Celente.
We got mentally ill people running the show. How can anybody with a brain bigger than a pea look up to the imbeciles and morons running the show? Look, Biden dead right in front of our eyes. Mitch McConnell, little Lindsey Graham, a little warmongering little freak that couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. Chucky Schumer. Oh, and the big news, Dianne Feinstein died. She was dead before she died.
Yeah.
Look at the clowns running the show. And people have, we are in the most serious times in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, Dianne Feinstein, I think, voted the day that she died. I mean, it was that crazy. So we have all this going on now. If we look at it maybe from a bigger picture, I'm just curious your take on this because, we have like the World Economic Forum that's trying to kind of get the whole world in. Obviously, the UN and the WHO and all these globalist movements, if you will. But from what we're seeing now with China and Russia, the Middle East, it looks like all that's breaking apart. So do you trend forecast that the world continues to break apart, so that's sort of the end of the UN, WEF, WHO? Or do you think that power of the UN, WEF, the globalists, continues to grow? Which way do you see that going?
No, globalization is ending. There's no question
and
about
globalism
it.
As well?
Yep. Yeah, but the United States and NATO are going to try to keep it together. But the world has had it with the United States. They're tired of its economic hegemony and its geopolitical hegemony. And particularly what's going right on now with the Israel war. You see the numbers coming out and the people complaining about the United States stance on this. And again, with the Ukraine war as well. No, they're definitely pulling apart. I want to go back before I forget. You were mentioning about China and deflation. China's in deflation now. They are very concerned about deflation. And what's their debt ratio to GDP? According to some of the numbers, well over 300% of the GDP. So China, when they launched the COVID, by the way, three things happened that changed the world in front of us. The COVID war in 2020, again, brought to you by the Chinese, celebration of the Chinese Lunar New Year, the year of the rat, January 2020. The Ukraine war, and now the Israel war. So going back to China was overbuilt. The economy was booming. When Clinton brought him into the World Trade Organization in 2000 and officially came in 2 weeks after 9/11 in 2001. You look at their GDP from 1970 to 2001, it shoots up.
Right.
When all booms happen, they're always overbuilt. Everybody gets into it, and they were overbuilt before. Then they locked down the damn place for 3 years with zero COVID policy.
Right.
They destroyed this economy to levels that are incalculable, and it's global. So when you're talking about deflation and what they're trying to do to stimulate now, they're not dumping in enough money, and they're trying to do everything they can to stimulate the economy in China. China's economy is done.
All right, hopefully you're enjoying this conversation with Gerald Celente. He is so much fun. He has so much information. And if you want even more information, then I have the event for you. It's coming up. I am talking about an event that my friend Dutch Mendehall is doing. Dutch Mendehall is the co-founder and CEO of Rad Diversified, president of the Alternative Investment Association, and he's bringing an investment wealth summit to Tampa, Florida, December 1st through the 3rd. Tucker Carlson's going to be in attendance, Buck Sexton, and many more. If you want to learn how to create financial freedom and security for your future, then you need to be at the Invest Wealth Summit. And you can get your tickets by going to investwealthsummit.com. All right, go there today, investwealthsummit.com. Learn how to diversify your portfolio without relying on Wall Street. Explore alternative investments, gain access to unique opportunities and hidden gems, uncover untapped potential in real estate, startups, innovative technologies, and more. Even learn how to reduce your tax burden. Go down and see Dutch Mendenhall, Tucker Carlson, Buck Sexton, Lisa Booth, so many more. Expand your investment horizons and secure your financial future. Get your ticket right now, investwealthsummit.com. Again, investwealthsummit.com. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the case. I mean, I know, to your point, the debt levels that they have make the U.S. look tame, right? And we know that a lot of that growth came from artificial demand, meaning the government pushing that up. And so obviously that comes to roost at some point. Then they have the massive demographic problem, which is a big problem, right? I mean, about half their population will be gone in the next couple of decades, just timing out just from old age. So they certainly have massive tailwinds, or headwinds, I should say, but they've sort of done like this colonialism 2.0, so to speak, right? With all their Belt and Road initiatives and things like that. Do you think potentially some of those investments in those areas could help save them, or it's not enough?
No, not now. Not now. Not with the global economy going down. Again, go back to 2019. Germany was a fraction of a point away from recession. One of our top trends for 2020, before we did those in December, was New World Disorder. There were protests going on in 2019 all over the world, in Algeria, in Lebanon, in South Africa, in India, in Peru, in Chile, all over the world, demonstrations going on, people protesting against lack of basic living standards. Remember the yellow vest in France, government corruption, crime, and violence.
To that point, I covered just before the end of the year in 2019, there was 10 countries with over 1 million people each protesting.
Yep. And then the COVID war. You can't go out to the streets.
Yep, they just all went away.
In your house.
They're all gone.
So then, again, making connections between different fields as we're doing, what do? The COVID war happens. Get back in your house, you can't go out, close down your business, blah, 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 blah. But hey, here's some free money. Trillions of dollars governments threw into there. They kept the negative interest rates in Europe, and we went to zero interest rates. The economy should have collapsed during the COVID war. They were artificially propped up with all of this fake money. Look at the housing boom that happened with very low mortgage rates.
Right.
Totally artificially propped up. And now that prop is gone.
But can't they bring the prop back?
No. Because
it was 10 between in the U.S. between the Fed and the fiscal stimulus was somewhere about 10, 11 trillion dollars, and yes, they brought rates to zero. Couldn't they just go to 20 trillion and bring rates back to zero?
Because what's going to happen is they bring rates down, the dollar goes down. When the dollar goes down, this is going to be going back again, making connections between different fields. And you mentioned about globalization and all of these BRICS and others that have had it with America. This is when when interest rates go down, the dollar's going to go down. It's going to be the beginning of the death of the dollar. And gold prices are going to skyrocket, as we forecast.
Right. Because as the dollar gets stronger, then asset prices come down. If the dollar gets weaker, then asset prices go up. So to the point that you're saying, if they bring rates down, the dollar will get weaker. One, because they've printed more of them. Two, there's less demand for the treasuries because the rates are down. So that pushes asset prices up, which is inflation. So massive inflation rages in.